and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my summer wrap-up. These are all the books that I've read between the end of June all the way up until mid-September. So there's quite a few books. A lot of them are audiobooks. In fact, most of them are audiobooks. I do have some of them in actual physical form, but out of all the ones that I do own, I've only physically read one of them. The rest are audiobooks, and I am not going to re-go over what I read for the booktubeathon because this video would get way too long. So I'm going to go through the books that I have physically and then go into the books that I do not own because I don't have my table set up like I usually do, and so I'm just kind of sitting here holding these. So that's what we're gonna do. There's no particular order. We're just gonna go with it. So the first book I have here is End of Watch by Stephen King. This is the third and final book in the Bill Hodges trilogy, and it was amazing. I gave it, I think, a 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know, I read this a long time ago. It was fantastic and amazing, great end to the series. It's a little weird and gets a little different and a little less real life in this book, but overall it was pretty fantastic, and that's all I'm gonna say because it is book 3. The next book I have is Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. I loved this book. I almost reread it as soon as I finished it. It was fantastic and amazing and gave you the feels, and I really like that it was done in partially email format because that was very interesting, and I'm starting to find that I actually really like that format because, I don't know, you get a little more in depth of the character than just any other format. Basically, this book follows Simon, who is gay, however he is not out. Nobody knows, and he is in an email correspondence with this other guy from his school who's also gay, and they kind of start falling for each other, but they have no idea who each other is. One day, Simon leaves his emails up on a school computer, and one of his classmates finds it and starts blackmailing him into basically doing whatever the hell he wants. It's definitely interesting. It's definitely a very high school story. I gotta say, I really loved it. I loved the characters. Everything about it was just fantastic. The next book that I have here is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I loved this. It was kind of creepy and kind of weird, and it gets kind of really weird, and then it gets kind of gross, and then it gets kind of creepy again, and it's just fantastic. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I don't know, I just loved it. I liked the audiobook. The audiobook was pretty well done. It's set in the 80s, if you can't tell by their hair in the picture on the book, and it's basically all about this girl whose best friend starts doing really weird things, and weird noises are coming from my kitchen. But her friend like starts acting weird and isn't herself and stops showering, and it's basically her just being possessed. And yeah, it was a really fun story. The next book I have feels like I read forever ago, and that is Land of Stories Beyond the Kingdom by Chris Colfer. This is book 4 in the Land of Stories series. I gave this a 2.5. It's just, the series is dragging for me. I really don't care, but then there are points in it where I do care, and it's just kind of meh. It's not fantastic, it's not the best writing, it's not the best characters, but it does kind of suck you in and pull you in and makes you want to know what's going to happen, and it is very interesting seeing different worlds and different fictional fairy tale stories, so that is still interesting, but it's kind of dragging for me. I have not read the 5th one yet. I'm still enjoying it to a point. Not enough where I think I'm gonna keep buying them. Next book I have is a reread, and I'm pretty sure it's the only reread on this list of my summer reads, which is really surprising for me. I reread a lot during the booktubeathon, so I think that's where I got most of my rereads from, but that is Lola and the Boy Next Door by Stephanie Perkins. I did read Isla and the Happily Ever After during the booktubeathon, so this is like June that I read this. I love this series. I love the companion series. I still don't know which book is my favorite. They're all 5 stars. They're just so great, and I love them, and they're quirky, and they're fun, and they're fluffy, and I just love them so much. And the only book that I physically read this summer, because apparently I've been more slumpy than I thought, is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by John Tiffany and Jack Thorne, with the original story by J.K. Rowling. I already did a video on this. It was during not Vlogmas, but Veda. So I did a car vlog on this. I don't think I'm gonna go into it any more than that. I did give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Initially, it was a 4 out of 5 stars, but I bumped it down. There's just too many problems with this for me to give it anything higher than a 3, but I did enjoy it. I really want to see the play, so hopefully it tours the US soon, and we have a pretty big location for tours, which is awesome because Hamilton is coming next year. But hopefully it will tour in St. Louis and I'll be able to see it. And that is it for the books that I physically own. And now I'm jumping over to my handy dandy bullet journal for the rest of the books. The first 2 books that I want to mention are Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest, both by Robin Hobb. These are books 2 and 3 of the Farseer trilogy, and I loved them so much. I'm pretty sure I gave both of them a 5. I did. I gave both of them a 5 out of 5 stars. Apparently I only gave the first book a 4 out of 5 stars, and I think that's because it took a little bit to get into. But the second and third one are amazing. The characters are still amazing. I love Fitz and the Fool. The Fool is just so awesome. If you have not read this trilogy, you need to. It is amazing and fantastic, and I hope to own those books someday. Someday. I am way behind on the hop-along, read-along thing. Way behind. I'm trying. I keep downloading Ship of Magic, and then I keep listening to other things because I'm just not ready for another 30+ hour book right now. Our office has been kind of hectic and kind of crazy and kind of loud, so I just haven't really, it hasn't been quiet enough for me to sit down and pay attention to it. And I have to say, I think out of the trilogy, my favorite would have to be the third one, Assassin's Quest. And I can't tell you why, just, it's fantastic and amazing. And I'm pretty sure my coworkers were getting really annoyed with me because I read the second and third book pretty much back to back. And so for like 2.5 weeks straight, I just kept like turning around and telling them new things that was happening because none of them cared if I spoiled it because they weren't gonna read it. And I just kept telling them things, and when I was excited for something I would tell them, and then when something was happening I would turn around and tell them. I'm pretty sure I made that series sound really weird and strange and odd, but it really is quite amazing. The next book that I listened to is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It follows a man who has a wife and a kid, and his life just kind of is there. He just kind of living. He's a teacher. He didn't really become the big physicist that he thought he would be, and he's just kind of there. His wife's a artist turned stay-at-home mom, and one day after he's hanging out with a friend, he ends up getting not robbed, but like he ends up getting held up at gunpoint and gets forced to drive to this location where he gets knocked out and weird stuff starts happening, and this guy keeps like doing things. He eventually wakes up and he's himself, and people know him as himself, but it's different. Everybody that knows him is people that he doesn't know. Things are really weird and different. He doesn't know what's going on, and basically it's fun. It's hard to explain without spoiling too much. It's hard to explain any deeper than that without giving away too much stuff, but I loved it. I loved the science aspect. I loved the adventure. It's definitely a book for anyone. Like, if you're a fan of pretty much any genre, I think that you would like this book because there is romance, there is adventure, there is mystery, there is sci-fi. It is fantastic. I loved it, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I do want to own it someday. We'll see when that happens. The next 2 books I read because my coworker read them and she recommended them. First one is Mermaids in Paradise by Lydia Millett. This book is not filled with mermaids as the title would have you believe. There are mermaids in it, there are mermaid sightings, but it does not center around mermaids, which is a little disappointing, but it kind of worked. This book is very interesting because it's part murder mystery, part contemporary, part fantasy. Yeah, it's definitely weird. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. The ending just like blew my mind. Like, what is even happening? I did write up a whole review on this on my blog, a link in the description to my blog below. I also wrote up a full review for Dark Matter, as well as the next book that I'm going to mention. And that next book that I'm going to mention is Where'd You Go, Bernadette by, who are you by, why did you leave, Maria Semple. I loved this book. It was so much deeper than you think that it would be, and my review for this is so long because there's so much that I enjoyed. The characterization is great. It's just so fantastic. The only thing that I wish would have done more for it would be a little more in depth with the whole mental disorder elements. But that's what it is. Basically, it follows letters and emails exchanged from a various number of people, but it's primarily told in the point of view of Bernadette's daughter. So it's a very unique take. I did listen to the audiobook, and the audiobook is narrated by the woman that plays Luke's sister on Gilmore Girls. Liz, I think her name is in Gilmore Girls. I don't remember the actual actress's name, but she reads the audiobook. And oh my god, she does such a great job. Like, she already has a really unique voice, but doing the different voices to all these different characters, she was just so well done. And I can't believe how well done it was. It was fantastic. And at one point she starts singing Oh Holy Night, and oh my god, I would buy a Christmas album from her. Her singing voice, you would not think would be that amazing, but it was, and it was awesome, and I loved it, and I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what some of your favorite reads over the summer were, because summer's finally over and we are into fall. I love fall so much. It is my favorite season. I do love winter Christmas. Winter is still, like, winter and fall are my favorites, but I have to say I love fall, and I really hate that we don't get more of fall. Like, pretty much in the Midwest we go from summer to like a week of fall to winter to like a week of spring back to summer, and it sucks. Really wish we got more of fall, but I digress. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. That's not how I start things. I have is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. Wow. Yeah, that's right. All right then.